Hey warriors, welcome back to the channel. They taught you that being good would be rewarded, that hard work pays off, that if you just follow the rules, treat people right, stay honest, success will come. And you believed it. So you played fair, you were loyal, you were ethical, you did everything they told you to do. And what happened? You got played. The promotion went to someone who played politics better. The relationship went to someone who manipulated better. The opportunity went to someone who was willing to do what you weren't. And you're sitting there, confused, betrayed, wondering why the people who broke every rule you followed are the ones winning. Here's what nobody told you. You're playing a game with rules nobody explained, against people who've read the manual you were never given. While you were learning about fairness and integrity in school, they were learning how power actually works. While you were being taught to feel guilty about self-interest, they were being taught to pursue nothing but self-interest. While you were being conditioned to play by rules, they were learning which rules to break and when. And the gap between what you were taught and what they know, that gap is why you're stuck and they're not. There's a book, written in 1513, banned by the church, condemned by moralists, misrepresented by everyone who wants to keep you operating by fake rules while they operate by real ones. It's called The Prince, and it's the most dangerous text you'll never be told to read, not because it teaches evil, but because it teaches effectiveness, because it exposes how the powerful actually operate, because it reveals that the moral framework you were raised with isn't universal truth. It's a control mechanism. And the people who don't want you to read this book, they're the same people who benefit from you staying naive, staying moral, staying weak. Machiavelli wrote the Forbidden Manual, and 500 years later, they're still trying to keep it away from you. Not by banning it anymore, that's too obvious, by misrepresenting it, by calling it evil, by making sure that when you hear Machiavellian, you think villain, not victor. Because if you actually read it, if you actually understood what's in it, you'd realize how completely you've been lied to about how the world works. Stay till the end, because I'm about to show you what's actually in the Forbidden Book, the knowledge they've spent centuries making sure you never fully understand, and why, the moment you internalize it, you can never be controlled through guilt, shame, or moral conditioning again. If you're starting to see how the moral framework you were taught is the cage keeping you powerless, subscribe now. Let me show you why this book was so dangerous that the Catholic Church put it on the index of forbidden books for over 400 years. Why it's been condemned by every moral authority. Why every religious institution, every educational system, every structure of power has worked to make sure you either never read it or never understand what you're reading. It's not because Machiavelli was teaching people to be evil, it's because he was teaching people to see clearly. And clarity is the most dangerous thing you can give to people who've been kept in the dark. Here's what Machiavelli did that was unforgivable. He told the truth about how power actually works, not how it's supposed to work according to religious teaching, not how it should work according to moral philosophy, how it actually works, in reality. When you strip away all the pretense, all the virtue signaling, all the moral performance, what are powerful people actually doing? And when you look at it honestly, when you study it objectively, the answer is uncomfortable. The answer is that they're not following the rules you were taught. They never were. They're following completely different rules. Rules that, if you understood them, would make you dangerous. Let me give you an example. You were taught that honesty is always the best policy, that lying is wrong, that deception is immoral, and so you operate with that constraint. You tell the truth even when it hurts you. You're transparent even when it makes you vulnerable. You're honest even when dishonesty would serve you better. And what happens? People use your honesty against you. They extract information from you that they wouldn't share with you. They know your position, your weaknesses, your intentions, while keeping theirs hidden. You've brought a knife to a gunfight, and you're wondering why you keep losing. Now look at how powerful people actually operate. They're not honest, they're strategic with information. They reveal what serves them and conceal what doesn't. They tell you what you need to hear to do what they want you to do. They perform honesty when it's useful and practice deception when it's necessary. And they don't feel bad about it. They don't lose sleep over it. They don't think they're bad people for doing it, because they understand something you were never taught. Honesty and deception are tools, not moral categories. You use the right tool for the job, and the job is winning, not being good. Winning. Machiavelli wrote, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are." Translation: your reputation is more important than your reality. What people believe about you matters more than what you actually are. And if you can control what people believe, through strategic information management, through careful image construction, through selective honesty and deception, you control how they treat you. That's power. But you were never taught this. You were taught the opposite. You were taught to be yourself, to let your true self shine through, to live authentically. And all of that is beautiful advice for keeping you powerless. Because authenticity is vulnerability. Transparency is weakness. Being yourself is handing people the ammunition to destroy you. The powerful aren't authentic. They're strategic. They show you what serves their interests and hide what doesn't. They cultivate an image and protect a reality. They understand that the gap between appearance and truth is where power lives. And they operate in that gap deliberately while you're busy trying to eliminate it through honesty. You're playing a different game, and you're losing because you don't even know you're playing. Let me give you another one. You were taught that being feared is bad, that you should want to be loved, respected, admired. That fear is the tool of tyrants and villains. So you try to be likable, you try to be agreeable, you try to make people happy. And what happens? They walk over you. They don't respect you. They don't value you. Because love without fear is just weakness. Affection without consequence is permission to exploit. Machiavelli wrote the most misunderstood line in the history of political philosophy. It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. And everyone takes this as proof that he was advocating for tyranny, for cruelty, for evil. But that's not what he's saying. He's saying, if you have to choose, if you can only have one, fear is more reliable than love. Because love is conditional on how people feel. And feelings change. But fear is based on calculation, on consequence, on people understanding that harming you, betraying you, disrespecting you carries cost. And calculation is more stable than emotion. Look at your own life. The people you love, do they always treat you well? Do they always prioritize you? Do they always respect your boundaries? Or do they sometimes take advantage precisely because they know you love them and will forgive them? Now think about people you fear. Not terror, not abuse, but healthy fear. People whose disapproval matters. People whose boundaries you respect because you know crossing them has consequences. You don't take advantage of those people. You don't test them. You treat them carefully. Not out of love, out of respect for their power. This is what Machiavelli was teaching. If people only love you, they'll exploit you when it's convenient and their feelings haven't caught up. But if people fear you, if they understand that you're not someone who tolerates disrespect, who absorbs betrayal, who forgives exploitation, they'll treat you carefully. They'll respect your boundaries, not because they want to, because they have to. And that creates more stable relationships than love ever could. But you were never taught this. You were taught that fear is evil, and that teaching keeps you easy to exploit. Here's another one that's going to make you uncomfortable. You were taught that you should keep your promises, that your word is your bond, that integrity means doing what you said you'd do even when circumstances change. And so you operate with that constraint. You commit, and then circumstances shift, and honoring the commitment no longer serves you, but you do it anyway because you gave your word. And you watch as other people break commitments when it serves them. They pivot, they renegotiate, they find loopholes, and they don't lose sleep over it, and they're winning while you're stuck. Machiavelli said, "A wise ruler ought never to keep faith when by doing so it would be against his interests." Read that again. He's not saying break every promise. He's saying when keeping a promise would destroy you, break it. When the circumstances that made the promise rational have changed, renegotiate. When honoring your word would give power to people who've already betrayed theirs, don't. Because promises are strategic tools, not sacred vows. You make them when they serve you. You break them when keeping them would harm you. And you don't feel guilty about it because you understand. The world doesn't reward integrity. It rewards effectiveness. And before you say, "But that's wrong," look around you. Look at who's winning. Are they the people with the most integrity? Are they the people who never break promises? Or are they the people who understand that commitments are conditional, that circumstances change, that strategic flexibility is more valuable than rigid honor? You know the answer. You just don't want to accept it, because accepting it means accepting that you've been playing with a handicap, that you've been following rules that don't exist while others operated without them. Let's go deeper. Let's talk about virtue. You were taught that virtue is its own reward, that being good makes you a good person, and being a good person is the goal. But Machiavelli looked at history, at actual rulers, actual leaders, actual people with power, and he noticed something. The virtuous ones lost, the ones who prioritized being good over being effective. They got conquered, they got betrayed, they got destroyed. Not because the universe is unjust, because virtue without power is just vulnerability waiting to be exploited. He wrote, "A man who wishes to make a profession of goodness in everything must necessarily come to grief among so many who are not good." Translation: if you're the only one playing by ethical rules in a room full of people who aren't, you lose. Every time, not sometimes. Every time. Because they'll use your ethics against you, they'll exploit your honesty, they'll take advantage of your fairness, they'll appeal to your compassion while showing you none. And you'll lose while feeling good about yourself. And they'll win while being labeled immoral. But they won't care, because they have what you don't: power. This is the forbidden truth. This is what they don't want you to understand. Virtue is a luxury of the powerful. You can afford to be good after you've secured your position, after you've built your fortress, after you have enough power that people can't destroy you for being ethical. But if you start with virtue, if you prioritize being good over being effective when you're weak, you'll stay weak. You'll stay vulnerable. You'll stay in a position where people can exploit your goodness while you have no recourse. Look at your own life. When have you been burned the worst? When you trusted someone who didn't deserve it, when you were generous with someone who exploited it, when you showed vulnerability to someone who used it against you, when you played fair with someone who was playing dirty. Every time your virtue was the wound they exploited, your goodness was the opening they used, and you've been taught to think the problem was them. But Machiavelli would say, the problem was you. You brought virtue to a power game, and power games don't reward virtue, they punish it. So what's the alternative? Does this mean you should be evil? Does this mean you should be cruel? No. It means you should be effective first, virtuous second. It means you secure your position through whatever means necessary, and then, from that position of strength, you can afford to be good. It means you accumulate power through strategies that work, not strategies that feel good. And once you have power, once you're secure, once people can't destroy you, then you can be as virtuous as you want. But not before, because before is when virtue gets you killed. Let me show you what this looks like in reality. You're in a competitive situation. Could be a job, could be a relationship, could be any scenario where there are winners and losers. You have information that would help your competition. The right thing to do, according to the moral framework you were taught, is to share it, to be fair, to play with integrity. But what does Machiavelli say? He says, never tell anyone more than they need to know. He says, information is power, and giving power to competitors is strategic suicide. He says, you protect your advantages, you exploit your opponent's weaknesses, and you don't handicap yourself through misplaced virtue. And if you do that, if you keep the information, if you use your advantage, if you prioritize winning over being fair, you'll be called ruthless, you'll be called selfish, you'll be called Machiavellian, and they'll say it like it's an insult. But Machiavelli would say, good. Let them call you whatever they want while you win, because their moral condemnation doesn't pay your bills. It doesn't secure your position. It doesn't protect your interests. It's just a tool they're using to try to guilt you back into playing by rules that benefit them and handicap you. This is the forbidden knowledge. This is why they don't want you to read Machiavelli. Not because he's teaching evil, because he's exposing the game. He's showing you that the moral framework you were taught is a control mechanism. It's how the powerful keep you from competing with them. They follow different rules, effective rules, while convincing you to follow ineffective rules. And the gap between what they do and what they tell you to do, that gap is how they stay up and you stay down. Let's talk about another one. Cruelty. You were taught that cruelty is always wrong, that kindness is always right, that if you're ever in a position where you have to hurt someone to help yourself, you should choose not to hurt them, even if it costs you, even if it leaves you vulnerable, because being kind is more important than being safe. But Machiavelli studied actual leaders, people who had to make decisions with consequences, and he noticed something. The leaders who were consistently kind, who refused to ever be cruel, who prioritized others' well-being over their own security, they didn't last. They got betrayed, they got overthrown, they got destroyed by people who were willing to be cruel when necessary. He wrote, "A prince must not mind incurring the charge of cruelty for the purpose of keeping his subjects united and faithful." Now, everyone reads this and thinks, see, he's advocating for tyranny. He's saying be cruel. But that's not what he's saying. He's saying, sometimes cruelty in the short term prevents greater suffering in the long term. Sometimes being harsh with one person prevents chaos for everyone. Sometimes the kind thing is actually the cruel thing because it allows worse outcomes. And the cruel thing is actually the responsible thing because it prevents disaster. Let me give you a real example. You're a manager. You have an employee who's underperforming. They're nice. You like them, but they're creating problems for the team. The kind thing to do is to keep trying to help them, keep giving them chances, keep hoping they improve. But what actually happens? The team suffers. The good employees get demoralized. The work doesn't get done, and eventually everything collapses. The cruel thing to do is to fire them, to have the hard conversation, to make the decision that hurts one person to protect many. And Machiavelli would say, that's not cruelty, that's responsibility. That's doing what's necessary instead of what feels good. But you were taught that firing someone is mean, that protecting yourself is selfish, that prioritizing your team's success over one person's feelings is cold. And that teaching keeps you weak. It keeps you trapped in situations where your kindness is creating worse outcomes for everyone involved. It keeps you absorbing dysfunction because removing it would require being cruel. And the people who understand this, the people who can make hard decisions without drowning in guilt, they're leading while you're drowning in good intentions. Here's another forbidden truth. People don't respect what they can exploit. You were taught that if you're kind enough, generous enough, understanding enough, people will appreciate it and reciprocate. But that's not how humans actually work. Humans test boundaries. they push, they see what they can get away with. And if you consistently respond to exploitation with more kindness, more understanding, more chances, they don't think, wow, what a good person, I should treat them better. They think, this person is easy, this person doesn't enforce consequences, this person can be used. Machiavelli understood this. He wrote, "Men are so simple and so subject to present necessities that he who seeks to deceive will always find someone who will allow himself to be deceived." Translation: if you make yourself available to be exploited, people will exploit you. Not because they're evil, because it's easy, because you've made it easy, because you've shown them that exploiting you carries no cost. And the way you stop being exploited isn't to be kinder. It's to be more dangerous. It's to make exploitation expensive. It's to show people that taking advantage of you is a strategic error they won't make twice. But you can't do that if you're operating within the moral framework that says consequences are mean, boundaries are cold, and protecting yourself is selfish. You'll keep being exploited while feeling good about being kind. And the people exploiting you? They're reading Machiavelli. They understand that your virtue is your vulnerability, and they're using it. If this is shaking loose everything you thought you knew about how the world works, hit that like button. It tells me you're ready for the full truth. Now let's address what you're probably thinking. But if everyone operated this way, society would collapse. We need morality. We need people to be good. And you're right. Society does need people to be good. Society needs people to follow rules, to be predictable, to sacrifice their interests for the collective. But here's the question. Do you want to be the person society needs, or do you want to be the person who succeeds? Because those are different things, and confusing them is why you're stuck. Society needs workers who show up on time, follow orders, and don't ask for more than they're given. Does that serve you? Society needs consumers who buy things they don't need to impress people they don't like. Does that serve you? Society needs citizens who believe in fair play while institutions play dirty. Does that serve you? The moral framework you were taught isn't designed to help you succeed. It's designed to make you useful to systems that benefit from your compliance. And the people at the top of those systems, they're not following the rules they're teaching you. They're following Machiavelli. They're operating with strategic flexibility, with ethical pragmatism, with a clear-eyed understanding that power has its own logic and morality is a tool for controlling others. They've read the forbidden book, and they don't want you to read it, because the moment you do, the moment you understand what they understand, you become competition. You become dangerous. You become someone who can't be controlled through guilt and shame. So let me tell you what's actually in the forbidden book. Not the misrepresented version, not the version moralists want you to believe, the actual principles that make it dangerous. Principle 1. Appear virtuous while being pragmatic. Machiavelli says you need the appearance of virtue because people judge by what they see. But you also need the reality of pragmatism because effectiveness requires doing things virtue won't allow. So you cultivate a reputation for honesty while being strategic with truth. You appear to be principled while being flexible in practice. You seem to be fair while actually favoring your interests. The gap between appearance and reality is where power lives. Master that gap, and you control how people treat you without being bound by how you actually operate. Principle 2. Use fear and love strategically. Love makes people want to help you. Fear makes them afraid to harm you. You need both, but if you can only have one, choose fear. Because love without fear is exploitable. People who only love you will betray you when it's convenient. But people who fear you, who understand that harming you carries cost, will stay loyal even when feelings fade. Build relationships where people benefit from helping you and suffer from harming you. That's strategic relationship design. That's how you create loyalty that lasts. Principle 3. Break rules when keeping them would destroy you. Rules exist to create order, but order isn't always in your interest. Sometimes the situation changes and the old rule no longer applies. Sometimes everyone else is breaking the rule and you're the only one following it. Sometimes the rule was designed to benefit others at your expense. In those situations, Machiavelli says, break the rule, not recklessly, strategically, when the cost of following it exceeds the cost of breaking it. And don't feel guilty, because guilt is just the mechanism they installed to make you police your own behavior. Principle 4. Be cruel when necessary to prevent greater suffering. Kindness that allows chaos is worse than cruelty that creates order. If being harsh with one person prevents disaster for many, be harsh. If firing someone protects your team, fire them. If cutting someone off protects your peace, cut them off. This isn't evil. This is math. This is choosing the lesser harm. This is understanding that sometimes the most responsible thing you can do is the thing that feels cruel. And the people who can't do this, they create more suffering through their kindness than they would have through their cruelty. Principle 5. Protect your advantages and exploit others' weaknesses. You have information others don't? Keep it. You see a weakness in a competitor? Use it. You have leverage? Apply it. This isn't dirty play. This is play. The people who win aren't the ones who handicap themselves through fairness. They're the ones who use every advantage available. They're the ones who understand that competition isn't about being nice. It's about winning. And if you're not willing to do what's necessary to win, you're not competing. You're just participating. These are the principles. These are the truths in the forbidden book. Not one of them is evil, but every single one of them contradicts the moral framework you were taught. Every single one requires you to prioritize effectiveness over virtue. Every single one makes you more dangerous to people who benefit from your weakness. And that's why they don't want you to read it. That's why they've spent 500 years making sure that when people hear Machiavellian, they think villain instead of victor. Because victims are useful. Victims follow rules. Victims feel guilty about self-interest. Victims handicap themselves through morality while others operate without constraint. But victors have read the manual. Victors understand the real rules. Victors operate in reality instead of in the moral fantasy you were sold. And the system doesn't want more victors. It wants more victims. Because victims are manageable. Victors are threats. So here's your choice. You can keep operating by the rules you were taught. You can keep prioritizing virtue over effectiveness. You can keep feeling guilty about self-interest while others pursue nothing but self-interest. You can keep playing fair while they play to win. And you can keep wondering why you're stuck while they're succeeding. That's one option. It's safe, it's moral, it's comfortable, and it guarantees you'll stay exactly where you are. Or you can read the forbidden book. Not the misrepresented version, the actual text, with clear eyes, with the understanding that Machiavelli wasn't teaching evil, he was teaching reality. He was exposing how power actually works. He was saying, here are the rules the powerful actually follow. Here's how they win. Here's what they do when no one's watching. And if you want to compete with them, if you want to stop being their victim, you need to understand what they understand. You need to operate how they operate. You need to stop handicapping yourself through morality they ignore. And yes, this will make you uncomfortable. Yes, it will contradict everything you were taught. Yes, it will feel wrong at first. But that feeling, that discomfort, that's not your conscience. That's your conditioning. That's the control mechanism activating. That's guilt being weaponized to pull you back into compliance. And the question you need to ask yourself is, do I trust that feeling or do I trust results? Because the people who trust that feeling stay stuck. And the people who operate despite that feeling, they win. Machiavelli isn't teaching you to be evil. He's teaching you to be effective. He's teaching you that virtue and vice are tools, not identities. He's teaching you that good and evil are categories others use to control you, not universal truths. He's teaching you that the world rewards power, not goodness. And once you accept that, once you internalize that, you can't be controlled through shame anymore. You can't be guilted into compliance. You can't be manipulated through moral performance. You become someone who operates based on what works, not what feels good. And that makes you free, actually free. Not the fake freedom of following your authentic self off a cliff. Real freedom. The freedom to pursue your interests without apologizing. The freedom to use every tool available without guilt. The freedom to win. If you're ready to operate in reality instead of moral fantasy, subscribe and turn on notifications. This channel is for people who've read the Forbidden Book and can't be controlled anymore. Drop a comment telling me which Machiavellian principle you're implementing first. Because the world is divided into two groups, people who've read the manual and people who haven't. And you just joined the first group. You can't unlearn this. You can't go back to naive virtue. You can't unknow what you now know. And that's the point. The Forbidden Book doesn't just teach you principles. It changes you. It strips away the moral conditioning. It reveals reality underneath the fantasy. It makes you see how you've been controlled through guilt, shame, and weaponized morality. And once you see it, you can never unsee it. You'll notice it everywhere. Every time someone tries to guilt you into something that doesn't serve you. Every time someone appeals to fairness while operating unfairly. Every time someone uses your virtue against you. You'll see it, and you won't fall for it anymore. That's what makes it forbidden. Not that it teaches you to be bad, that it teaches you to see clearly. And clarity is the enemy of control. You can't manipulate someone who sees the manipulation. You can't guilt someone who recognizes guilt as a weapon. You can't control someone who understands the control mechanisms. And the people in power, they know this. They know that the moment you read Machiavelli, really read him, understand him, internalize him, you become ungovernable. You become someone who can't be kept in place through moral conditioning. You become dangerous. So they misrepresent him. They call him evil. They make sure that when you hear his name, you think villain. Because if you thought Victor instead, you might read him. And if you read him, you might understand. And if you understand, they can't control you anymore. The Forbidden Book isn't forbidden because it's wrong. It's forbidden because it's right. And the truth makes you free. Actually free. Dangerously free. Welcome to the real game. You're playing by real rules now, and real rules reward effectiveness, not virtue. Use your advantages, exploit their weaknesses, be strategic with truth, appear virtuous while being pragmatic, create fear and love in balance, break rules that don't serve you, be cruel when necessary to prevent chaos, and never ever feel guilty about doing what's necessary to win. Because that guilt is just their control mechanism trying to pull you back. And you've read the Forbidden Book now. You know better. You can't be controlled that way anymore. The game is yours to win, if you're willing to play it.